Hey guys, okay, today what God has on my heart is about drawing from the source. And so, as someone who is in ministry and as someone who is in front of people a lot because of these videos and because of the videos through the ministry, when people see you, and they can see his light shining through you, what tends to happen is people want to draw off of you rather than drawing off of God. And they don't even realize that they're doing it. I mean, I think that all of us have experienced that where we see just that radiant beauty in someone and we just are drawn to them and we like that. And we're like, that's awesome. And we may not even realize that we're, basically trying to get a piece of that. You know what I mean? But what you're hungering for is for the glory of God, because that's what you're seeing reflected. You're seeing him reflected in their countenance, and so he's actually what you really want. And it's we have spent so much time cultivating our natural senses that we find it easier to develop human relationships than we do with God, because we get feedback in the ways that we are most comfortable with. We hear with our ears, we see with our eyes if they write to us, so we're getting feedback in the senses that we've spent time developing. And so to get a relationship with God requires developing your spiritual senses. And if that isn't something that you've done, it's more comfortable to get it from a person. But I'm just going to tell you, you're getting a diluted version of what you actually are craving. And so I just want to encourage you, all of us, to remember to go to the source, go to God, take the time to cultivate that relationship with him, take the time to let him fill that so that you can have your own radiance. Because again, it's like with Moses, when his face shone with the glory of God after he would spend time in his presence. Like, do that, spend time in God's presence. And I'm just going to tell you right now, sometimes it's really dry. And I think that people get scared off by that because they're like, I'm just sitting here and I don't feel like I'm hearing anything. And this other person, they get these amazing downloads or visions or whatever, and I don't feel like I'm getting that. And so people give up. And the key is you don't give up. I haven't validated this, but a friend said to me, he said that the term quality time was actually developed in the 1970s when more moms were heading into work. And so instead of getting quantity time with their kids by staying at home, they would talk about getting quality time, because of course you don't want to miss quality time with your kids. So that's where that phrase got coined. I understand it. Again, I haven't validated that. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, but it makes sense. But the problem with that concept is you can't force quality time. The quality time happens in the midst of the quantity time. And so you have to spend the time. You have to be willing to put that time in. Think about it, because any close relationship in your life, you have moments that aren't great and aren't exciting, but it's in the midst of those moments that you have those connections that are life-changing. And so you have to put in the time. You have to be willing to do it. And so don't be put off by the fact that sometimes, your quiet time might look dry. But what happens over time is you develop this intimacy with the Father that is really just precious. And so it's worth that effort. He is worth that effort in the same way that you want the people who are in your life to feel like you are worth the effort. You're worth putting in the time for. You are worth spending time with. You're worth sitting with. You want that. Well, so does God. He wants that. He wants us to communicate that to him by being willing to take that time and to sit with him. So anyway, so all that to say, draw from the source. Like, be intentional about doing that. Be intentional about drawing from him. And if you're someone who has a mercy gifting, because I have one, okay, so I'm just going to tell you, when people start to draw off of me and I see that they're hurting, I want to pour out because my mercy gifting kicks in. But sometimes that's not what they actually need. They don't need me. What they need is they need God, and they need that download from heaven. And so if in my mercy gifting, I am pouring out and trying to meet that need that only he can meet, I'm actually doing them a disservice. disservice. And so if you're the one who's allowing yourself to get completely sucked dry, stop. You're not helping. You have to step back. And honestly, God taught me this by literally breaking me. He literally took me to a point where I had nothing left. And I was like in a very dark period for like 3 years because I literally had a breakdown, could not handle it anymore, had poured out to where there was absolutely nothing left. And that it was in that season that God showed me, you have to stop. You have to force them to go back to me. You have to not even try to meet that need. I mean, that's not to say that we don't minister to each other. Of course we do. But if you are the primary source that someone is drawing off of, you're doing them a disservice. They need to go to the Father. So anyway, hopefully that's an encouragement to someone today. I know I needed that word today. That reminder is a good one. And so bless you as you seek Him. Have an awesome day.